1. Corresponding Part 3, Corresponding Sutra 1, the Young Sutra. Thus have I heard. At one time, the world-honored one was staying in Jetavana, Anathapindika's park in Shrivastida. At that time, King Pasenadi of Kosala came to visit the world-honored one. After arriving, he exchanged greetings with the world-honored one. After the pleasantries, he sat down to one side. Seated to one side, King Pasenadi of Kosala said to the world-honored one, "Master Gautama, do you also claim to have attained supreme, perfect enlightenment?" Great King, if someone were to speak truthfully about having attained supreme, perfect enlightenment, they would be speaking truthfully about me. Great King, I have indeed attained supreme, perfect enlightenment. Master Gautama, even those well-known, famous founders of religious sects, leaders of groups who are revered by many people such as Purana Kassapa, Makali Gosala, Nigantha Nadapada, Sanjaya Balathapada, Pakuta Kakayana, and Ajita Kesakamali, when I asked them, do you claim to have attained supreme, perfect enlightenment, they did not acknowledge having attained it. How much less so for Master Gautama, who is so young and has been a monk for such a short time? Great King, there are 4 young things that should not be despised or looked down upon. Which 4? 1. Great King, a young warrior prince should not be despised or looked down upon. 2. Great King, a young snake should not be despised or looked down upon. 3. Great King, a small fire should not be despised or looked down upon. 4. Great King, a young monk should not be despised or looked down upon. Great King, these 4 young things should not be despised or looked down upon. After saying this, the well-gone one, the teacher, further said, a warrior prince of noble birth, of pure lineage, renowned, should not be despised for his youth. One should not look down on him. For this king among men, this warrior, if he attains the throne, will angrily punish with royal power that person severely. Therefore, for the sake of preserving one's life, one should avoid him. Whether in a village or a forest, if one sees a snake, one should not despise it for its youth. One should not look down on it. Moving with great power, snakes of various forms. It might suddenly bite a fool, be it man or woman. Therefore, for the sake of preserving one's life, one should avoid it. A fire that devours all, blazing fiercely, leaving black traces, should not be despised for being small. One should not look down on it. If it gets fuel, that fire will grow even stronger. It might suddenly burn a fool, be it man or woman. Therefore, for the sake of preserving one's life, one should avoid it. When fire burns a forest, leaving black traces, new shoots will regrow as day and night alternate. But if burned by the power of a monk of perfect discipline, one's children, livestock, and heirs will not obtain wealth. They will be without offspring or descendants, like a palm tree cut off. Therefore, the wise, for their own benefit, should treat correctly snakes, fire, renowned warrior princes, and monks of perfect discipline. After the world-honored one finished speaking, King Pasenadi of Kosala said to him, "Excellent, world-honored one! Excellent, world-honored one! It's as if someone has set upright what was overturned, revealed what was hidden, shown the way to one who was lost, or held up a lamp in the dark for those with eyes to see forms. In the same way, the world-honored one has explained the Dharma in various ways. World-honored one, I now take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. May the world-honored one accept me as a lay follower from this day forward for life who has taken refuge." This passage comes from a Buddhist scripture and describes a conversation between the Buddha Shakyamuni and King Pasenadi of Kosala. Let's analyze this wisdom-filled dialogue in depth. 1. Background. The story takes place in Jetavana, Anathapindika's park in Shrivastida, a place where the Buddha often resided and taught. King Pasenadi of Kosala comes to visit the Buddha, initiating a profound dialogue about wisdom, age, and enlightenment. 2. Core issue. King Pasenadi questions how the Buddha, being young, can claim to have attained supreme enlightenment Buddhahood. This reflects the prevailing societal belief that wisdom and enlightenment were more likely to be achieved by older individuals. 3. Buddha's response. The Buddha skillfully responds to the king's doubt by using 4 examples of young things that should not be despised. A young warrior prince, a young snake, a small fire, a young monk. 4. Deeper meanings. Through these 4 metaphors, the Buddha conveys several important points. Power and danger do not always correlate with age. Appearances can be deceiving. One should not underestimate anyone or anything. True power comes from within, not from external conditions. Wisdom and enlightenment are not limited by age. 5. Significance of the verses. The Buddha further elaborates on these 4 metaphors in verse form, emphasizing the severe consequences of underestimating these powers. Notably, he compares the power of a monk to a fire that can burn away family wealth and descendants, suggesting that spiritual power transcends material and worldly concerns. 6. The king's realization. After hearing the Buddha's teaching, King Pasenadi develops strong faith and immediately takes refuge in the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. This demonstrates the persuasive and transformative power of the Buddha's wisdom and teaching method. Deep reflections. 1. Beyond appearances. This dialogue reminds us not to be fooled by surface appearances. True wisdom and power often hide in unexpected places. In our daily lives, do we often miss important insights and opportunities due to our prejudices? 2. The nature of power. Through 4 metaphors, the Buddha reveals the multifaceted nature of power. Physical strength, toxicity, destructive force, and spiritual power, which has the most profound impact on human society. How should we harness these powers? 3. Age and wisdom. Society often equates age with wisdom, but the Buddha's teaching challenges this notion. In the pursuit of knowledge and enlightenment, an open mind may be more important than age. Should we also re-examine our fixed notions about age and ability? 4. The art of education. The Buddha successfully changed a king's perspective using vivid metaphors and a gradual approach. What insights can we gain from this teaching method? Can we apply this approach when spreading knowledge and ideas? 5. The impact of spiritual power. The Buddha compares a monk's power to a fire that can affect future generations, suggesting the far-reaching influence of spiritual practice. In our materialistic modern society, do we underestimate the importance of spiritual power for individuals and society? 6. Openness and growth. King Pasenadi ultimately accepts new ideas that challenge his existing notions, demonstrating a valuable learning attitude. Can we maintain such an open mindset when faced with new ideas that challenge our worldview? This ancient dialogue is not just a story about Buddhism. It's a mirror that illuminates human nature and challenges fixed notions. It invites us to reflect on ourselves, break free from the shackles of prejudice, and face this complex and changing world with a more open and wise attitude. In this process, we may discover that the true path to enlightenment begins with a renewed understanding of ourselves and the world.